Welcome, everybody. We should have gone live, so we should have our YouTube live stream. I'm Adrian Cotterill from the DailyDOOH, and next to me is Barry Fry, the CEO and President of DPAA.
Nice to see you, Adrian. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for coming. Barry's flown all the way from New York, where he's based, to see us. It was Barry's birthday on Sunday. Happy birthday for Sunday.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for traveling on your birthday to come and be with us. Barry's done a couple of things with us this week. We're here at the AdTECH Out of Home London conference. Just going to go through a couple of things very quickly. That's me. We'd like to thank our sponsors. Without today would be possible. That's rubbish, but I can't go back because we're live. So I'd like to thank Global and DAX. We have some speakers there, HiveStack, LiveDo Sidekick, The Neuron, Splicky, and Talon. And of course, Samsung. We're live from Samsung KX in King's Cross in London. So this week has been quite busy. Barry, you're not in that picture, but you'll see a very handsome gentleman on the left of the screen. No, not me, Kevin Shute on the right-hand side from Rainmaker. And then two lovely ladies, Fiona Fitzgibbon, you know well, from Diversify, and Jess Fitzpatrick from Buyers and Sellers, based up in Birmingham. And we did a couple of, we've used the Samsung KX facilities to do a couple of video recordings, sort of TV shows. I tried to be Jonathan Ross. Barry, you were on the next show. Did I succeed?
Yes, not my best angle, but the rest of everybody looks okay.
Yeah, we tried to get you with some hair, so it had to be from the back.
Okay, thank you
not
very
front,
much.
I'm afraid. With Barry there is Nigel Clarkson from HiveStack and Sophie Pemberton, Chief Strategy Officer at Talon. Those videos will be live in the next day or so, and we'll share those with you. Just trying to talk about the industry in a slightly different way, rather than a proper conference or even a fireside chat, but just figuring out what we can do with the facilities we've got. And I think each session was 45 minutes long, Barry?
Yes.
And you had some good things to say about the DPAA. Anything you wanted to say specifically about the DPAA? Well, why don't you introduce the DPAA very quickly?
Sure. So for those of you that don't know, DPAA is the global trade and marketing organization that is dedicated towards the growth of global out-of-home media spend via growing its digitization. And we have an amazing array of digital capabilities in the industry, from data to programmatic to retargeting to digital screens. And out-of-home is truly becoming a digital business. And because of that, and a lot of the programmatic factors developed and others recently, we're taking an increasingly larger amount of ad spend, and that's what we do.
Brilliant, thank you very much. And many people think of you as being, well, you're based in New York, but many people think of you as North American, but you have audience members in every continent
except for
Antarctica.
That's right. The penguins don't get involved in media or advertising yet, but outside of that, we've got about 170 members in about 40 countries. And what's nice is because we focus on the digitization, digitization crosses borders more easily than analog strategies and principles.
Okay. Just going back to the previous slide, one of the things that, so Kevin Shute on the picture there from Rainmaker, he lives in the same village as me, actually, but he's a long-term industry veteran, been around for about 30 years. Started with Mauro Farrell, which has now become Clear Channel. A couple of things we'll pick up when we release the videos. He said a couple of good things. One was about Outsmart, who've helped us a lot this week, and we did some videos for Outsmart, the research body, or the industry standards body, yesterday. And he was saying a good idea might be if more media owners co-opted people to Outsmart, which was a very good idea, which I've not come across before. So monetary issues aside, a DPAA or a Clear Channel or a Global, putting people to help Outsmart made a lot of sense. And the other good thing, which is top of mind to many people at the moment, he was explaining how we could probably help Kyiv in the Ukraine when they get back to normal. And he's made a great suggestion that we should put an event on. So there's a challenge for anybody in the industry who wants to come up with it. Let's have an event in Kyiv, hopefully later this year or early next year, and help these people get back on their feet. So that was the things we did on Tuesday. Barry, thanks for coming along. And then yesterday, with Outsmart, we had, with the main help of Mungo and Tim Harvey, who you're going to meet later on. Remember, Tim is the magician. Mungo's the one with the funny name. Easy to remember. Yesterday, we used this space to record some videos, which we're going to share, obviously, with the industry. You can see them there. No point in me reading them out. The magic trick's not on that one, but we had some help from Talon as well. That's Tim. That's the warm-up. That's what you're going to see. That's what the table is behind us for. So, bit of fun. Okay, now, serious stuff. Barry, President, CEO of DPAA. Again, welcome. Thanks for coming. So this week, on Mondays, nothing like being timely, Group M published a report, which was a very good report. And if you haven't read it, you need to find it and read it. And it was published with Xaxis and Kinetic.
And Sightline.
And Sightline.
Right.
I was going to say Sightline is the joint venture.
Yeah, it's kind of an internal joint venture of Kinetic and Xaxis, so that everybody works so nicely together.
And
yeah.
some of the report was based on a study that you've done earlier on. So I'm going to ask you to tell us a little bit about that report now.
Sure. Well, it's very exciting because as we've been saying for many years, that we offer to consumers and to brands and agencies a lot of the benefits are heretofore only in video and television and cable and satellite and online and streaming and CTV. So this report tends to prove out what we've been saying. The first kind of headline that made its way into a lot of trades was digital out-of-home ads are as entertaining as TV and radio. And this is something we've been talking about for many years from our own DPAA reports, is that consumers and brands wake up in the morning, they love the idea of video, and it's very powerful. We've also worked with many of our members to put not only adverts on the screen, but to put content on the screen. Because when you have content in the right place at the right time, it attracts viewers, it attracts stickiness, and of course does well for advertisers. So that was the first headline. In addition to that, some great indices here. 50% of consumers said digital out of home encouraged these consumers to make a purchase right then and there. So nothing like being at the point of purchase or on the way to purchase. What a great place to sell a consumer brand. And then 53%, once again, more than half of consumers said the ads gave them all the information they needed to make a purchase. So once again, information at the point of purchase, a great selling tool for brands. And on the third one here, 77% of consumers said that digital out of home is quite or very informative. So it's informative, it's entertaining, it's brand safe, it's got great context in this mitigating cooking environment. So there's a lot of power here for this medium. And then lastly, what do we have in this indication here, for who's ever running the slides? Is that you? Great. Is that Group M, the Sightline study, it said that marketers are integrating new digital out-of-home campaigns and capabilities into wider media buys. Now, what this refers to, as I mentioned earlier, historically, where you've got video investment and you've got online and you've got mobile and digital and cable and satellite TV, digital out-of-home is now starting to take those budgets, which is nice to see that Group M indicates that as well.
So the bottom bit on the slides that you can see, that's what we call omnichannel, is it?
Yeah, so brands and consumers act in an omni-channel way. Brand wants to touch everybody because the consumer's touching everything. So we are part of that mix in a significant way.
Okay, and the purchase ability, you have, am I right in saying that in the US, because you have gas station TV and you have people with screens at electric vehicle and scooter charging stations, you have lots of retail sales. You were talking a little bit earlier about maybe Walmart doing some stuff again.
Well, retail's become a great place for reaching impressions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have big screen networks in the US for that?
We have a lot of screen networks, and you're going to see a proliferation of screens now that the technological capabilities are there, and also, of course, the ad revenue capabilities are there. In fact, there's a website called Brand as a Medium, built from Group M, from the store, that talks about, a store as a medium, excuse me, that stores are now a medium because of all the eyeballs in stores.
Right. Are we helped by the fact that the consumers are getting younger in terms of that they are used to this sort of content and touching things, thinking of TikTok and Facebook and other things?
Yeah, where that really helps, Adrian, is very interesting, is that if you think about the screens outside the home all around the world, some do, like SHTV, have audio, a lot do not.
Okay.
But it's really the power of video that drives consumers and brands. To wit, TikTok basically has a lot of times the same background audio, and people aren't going there and engaging because of the audio. It's all about the video. So that's why we are now looking and taking more of the video budgets.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more about your report. You did yours 6 months ago, I think, and it was heavily featured in this latest Sightline study.
Right.
It's available to your members. You've got lots and lots of members. Is there any other way that people can get hold of it? Have you got presentations coming up about it at your conferences?
Yeah, we've done some on the highlights of it. It's really for members only, but they could write you or me and we may consider it.
Okay.
But it was interesting because you're correct, Adrian, reference in this report, because we did it in coordination with Xaxis and Advertiser Perceptions, which is a great company that really measured what advertisers, brands, and agencies think about the medium. And we surveyed about 600 executives, and I think with the results are coming up. We can actually jump to the next page that talks about some of the results here. So 77% of media decision makers said they have increased their awareness and learning about digital out-of-home and out-of-home in the last 18 months. And we work very hard at DPAA, spending lots of time with chief brand officers, chief marketing officers, with the press, with agencies to educate them on the new superpowers of out-of-home advertising.
And this is the way that we're going to try and get more brands to use out-of-home.
Exactly.
We're all probably well aware that it's a lot of the buyers. I think Kevin, a Rainmaker on Tuesday, referenced what the actual number was. But because we do rely on your McDonald's and your Coca-Cola and your Googles and your Apples for the stuff. But you're aiming to bring new people into buying digital out-of-home.
Absolutely. For us, it's all about being additive. And as I mentioned, now that it's a brand-safe environment, it's a skipless environment, it offers a lot of the same video opportunities as others. We are now attracting those other budgets. In other ways that is interesting, out-of-home used to only attract the top of the marketing funnel, generating great brand and awareness, but now because of the digital mobile data targeting programmatic, we're able to attract budgets further down the marketing funnel where we talk about consideration, action, purchase, intent, et cetera. So now we're not only attracting top of marketing budgets for out-of-home, but down the whole marketing funnel, plus making a case in grabbing whether it's YouTube, TikTok, or Sky, or ITV, or Channel 4 budgets.
So the whole programmatic digital out-of-home and the AdTECH stuff is helping us get new brands into this.
So much so.
Right.
It's really, we are fast becoming an increasingly bigger and better digital business, and that has really been, along with specifics like programmatic, a lot of the superpower of the industry. Okay. Plus great iconic digitry, like, you know, Ocean Outdoor here's got great 3D in Piccadilly Lights. I mean, the technology is brilliant.
Okay. And talking about media plans, we're still relying on the big media planners to put stuff into this space?
Yeah, you know, the media planners is where the omni-channel decision-making largely sits. Okay. Because they've got a plan for all media. So that's where we also spend a lot of time at the place, and the goal is to have those folks see the value in us and then deliver the money to the specialists or other ways that end up on the out-of-home screens.
Right, okay.
And that was a good number that was increased. This is also a nice increased number. 66% have activated campaigns in the past 18 months. And then the other, I think, shows some of the reasons why. And this is something that I can't stress enough. The creative flexibility and the basically serving and targeting, dynamic serving capability of programmatic is brilliant. You know, a lot of digital money is flowing into the space now. I saw yesterday, you know, I was talking to the folks at View. We've got Hivestack here sponsoring it. Adomni's done a great job, Broadsign, of really driving digital monies into out-of-home via programmatic platforms. And in fact, during COVID, we used that follow time to spend the time and energy to connect all the programmatic pipes, so now the whole ecosystem is nicely connected to deliver value to brands and agencies.
Yeah. Can't stress enough the mass reach during the COVID stuff. There was great examples globally about COVID, what you Americans call PSAs. I don't think we use the word PSA here, but the campaigns to encourage people basically to do nothing and stay at home. What great encouragement.
We were very proud. We developed a campaign that ran in about 18 countries in 8 languages, and it was encouraging people to stay home, to mask up, to socially distance, and it was great to see our members all over the world step up. And you know, when they ask, what did you do during the war, Daddy, I can stand somewhat proud and say that we did our efforts.
We did nothing. Good. Okay, Barry, thank you. Now we're going to move on very quickly. Remember, we've got a live YouTube audience.
Should I leave? Should I stay?
You could leave, because we need to get the others to come on, but I was going to leave. I was going to shake your hand, maybe give you a kiss and
okay, I'm waiting.
Nicely.
I'm waiting.
Okay, good. Barry, thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Good to see you.
It's a pleasure.
Right, the next people on would be Mungo, and they've all been given express. Where's Mungo? Where's Mungo? Oh, well, the other people can come on. If we haven't got Mungo, I need Tara sitting here and Gordon in the middle and Alice here. Somebody needs to go and get Mungo if he's not here. Sit in front of your picture, ladies. It's not rock.
on more specifically AdTECH and how that is affecting digital out-of-home going forwards. So I guess just a couple of little introductions first. Tara, your customer success manager at the Neuron. Great to have you with us.
Thank you so much.
Gordon is UK sales director at Splicky. And Alice is the senior director international for DSPs at Yahoo. Absolute pleasure. Just check that we've got those mics so we can actually hear you. Lovely. Okay. So I guess we've got some really interesting areas that we're going to unpack. And just to put those into context, the UK has now got about 5,000 digital screens that create something in the region of, I mean, it's a ridiculous number, but 1.3 billion impacts every week is achieved. And we reach something like 70% of the UK as a result of the digital screens that are in place. So it's an amazing audience that we can reach. And that just puts into context the challenge that we've got with how do we harness technology to actually make best use of that great opportunity. So, Tara, I'm going to come to you first, I guess, just to give us a bit of an introduction. Your business, the Neuron, why do they operate in outdoor? What do you find fascinating about that? And specifically, I guess, within Europe as well, where do you see that?
Of course. So 70% of audiences globally spend most of their time outside of their homes. So especially when they're commuting to work or they're going out with friends, if they're doing some sort of entertainment, they're always going to pass by some sort of advertisement that either calls to them, speaks out to them. And it's, of course, a pivotal relationship between the advertiser and any audience members walking wherever they may be outside of their homes. So the digital out-of-home industry is quite a wonderful growing one. It has a lot of attractive opportunities. And of course, as a programmatic digital out-of-home company, we absolutely love working within this medium. And especially within Europe, we have a two-pronged model in terms of who our audiences are or who our users are. And one of them being international media agencies, growing digital agencies. But in addition to that, we especially focus on small and medium enterprises, or as we call them, small and medium businesses. And that's especially because they're pivotal to the EU economy. They comprise of 99% of all enterprises within the economy. And these types of companies are the ones that need the most support in terms of marketing and growth. And so at the Neuron, we love to offer them these sort of opportunities, especially those that are data-backed or data-led.
So you see a lot of companies out there with a lot of opportunity to make best use of out-of-home, and you can be the conduit to help them achieve that.
Exactly.
Yeah, great. Gordon, give us a little bit of background about Splicky. I know that you're also part of a slightly larger group who's involved in other areas, not just out-of-home. But
so to those who don't know, Splicky is a German business. We're owned by a much bigger media group out of Germany, a Swiss-German business, Goldbach. So in terms of why we're in Europe, I believe that was one of the questions. I mean, firstly, it's home. Why we're doing this, I mean, there's a real opportunity to add value to out-of-home, to digital out-of-home. A lot of great work has already been done in the digital space. We're not necessarily looking to replace that, but we're looking to create sort of new opportunities, ways of doing things slightly different, not necessarily better, but different ways, looking at different ways of engaging audiences, looking at different ways of engaging the buyers as well, engaging the agencies, and also to work with the media owners to realize the value of their inventory. So value that may not necessarily have been realized before. Audiences may be found in locations where they would never have suspected they would have been found. But by using data, using post-campaign insights, it just allows agencies, buyers, advertisers to learn a lot more about their audiences and also that allows them to engage their audiences a lot better. So this is the opportunity that we see. And again, we're in this space to add value, and that's the value we think we can create. That's what we're bringing.
So not just looking at it from the audience, from the advertiser's point of view, but actually saying media owners themselves can find out much more value in their own product as a result of embracing some of the work that you do.
Exactly. I mean, we're a DSP. Maybe I forgot to mention that. So we're on the buy side, but at the same time, we do work very closely with our supply partners. And a lot of it is about realizing the value of their inventory and bringing the buy and sell side together.
And Alice, I mean, Yahoo, a massive company, we are sort of familiar with that name in so many contexts. Why do they feel that out-of-home is a place that's worth investing time and energy?
So I think it's fair to say that Yahoo has been looking at out-of-home as a channel for probably about the last sort of 4 to 5 years. It's definitely originally it was one of those sort of nascent channels within the sort of pure omni-channel space. But what we fast sort of saw happen is that it no longer was something that was completely siloed. It no longer needed to exist just within the specialist. It was very much sort of starting to come into the digital team. There was a lot of I suppose, enthusiasm to be able to bring it in, and a lot of understanding that out of home is actually part of the journey that us, as the public, humans, etc., are experiencing on a day-to-day basis. So not actually pulling it in as part of an omni-channel strategy, arguably is dismissing one of the biggest brand building, both upper and lower funnel channel that's there. So one of the things that obviously we saw, we are a DSP, we're an SSP on the sort of B2B side, but we're also a B2C business as well. As you mentioned, most people have heard of Yahoo, Yahoo Mail, Yahoo Search, Yahoo from the sort of content side. We're a global business as well. And with that allows us to basically pull through a huge volume of data and insights as to what sort of consumers are doing across all of those different properties. And then being able to sort of weave that in to what's happening on the technology side and on the advertising side has allowed us to surface some fantastic insights, both for the media owners, but more importantly for the advertisers as well. So I think the main sort of reason we're focusing on it is that it's not a new channel. It's a channel that's always been around, and it has its space. It has its place now as part of that omni-channel buy.
And I guess Yahoo, as an international business, is looking at this in markets across the world. Where does Europe and in particular London, since we're here on quite a nice sunny day, where does that fit in? How does that sort of fit in the sort of pecking order of areas of interest to develop this for you?
I mean, Mango, yes, you're right. We're a global business. I mean, we operate in over sort of 25 different countries. We have supply and technology available. I think it's something like 175 different countries. And when it comes to our sort of digital out-of-home offering, right now it's available in over 35 different countries. So Europe definitely is important. UK, as we all know, is one of the sort of fastest growing within Europe when it comes to out-of-home, especially when it comes to the digitization of those screens and the media owners actually making the technological sort of changes to make them programmatically available. So UK has certainly been sort of a core focus, but there are a lot of other markets in Europe as well. So France is definitely of interest. Obviously, the Netherlands is far ahead of pretty much any other market in Europe when it comes to digitization, but the brand dollars that exist are definitely sort of more coming out of the UK. I mean, other markets, the US obviously is huge for us, but then also we're seeing Australia really starting to power through. So I wouldn't say there's any one market that is more important than the other. What we're most sort of focused on is ensuring that the brands that we work with are able to activate on a multi-market, regional, global basis, or just on a local basis. So really being able to offer them a full suite of geographies.
Great. And so you mentioned that you're a DSP and an SSP, and we're here sitting with, effectively for the moment, let's say 3 DSPs in this market. There's a discussion, I guess, about what is programmatic, and that comes up a little bit. Just before we go on, make sure we're broadly on the same page, or maybe find some differences. Would you agree, let's say, with the statement that programmatic is about being able to make a decision to purchase in real time, or would you have some different definition to that? Gordon, perhaps you'd give us a...
Yeah,
thought.
I agree. I agree. I mean, the simple answer is automation. That's what programmatic brings. But the addition of data to help make those decisions in real time using algorithms, using AI, all these possibilities are brought to light using programmatic.
Yep. And Tara, would you agree that sort of it's that immediacy of being able to make a decision that I want to spend some money now or I don't want to, and doing that effectively in real time, which is the core?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think the most important facets of programmatic is it allows advertisers to layer on targeting requirements as necessary, respond to events in real time. You're able to remotely from anywhere in the world make enhanced and optimized decisions for your campaigns as you move along. So it provides that immediacy that you need. And in addition to that, also provides those data sources that you really need for a great return on investment for your campaigns across the board. So I would definitely agree.
So you've got to bring together that data source and that technological ability to make the purchase.
Yes, of course, because from what we're seeing now, from the small and medium businesses that we work with, as well as the agencies that we work with, there's an increased focus on sound business intelligence and business growth. And the main factors contributing to that business growth for sure are targeting requirements as necessary, reaching your exact audiences with the right messages at the exact right time. So you're definitely able to do that with programmatic. And I think that's the most defining factor that we see in terms of programmatic for now and ad tech technology in general.
Sure. Alice, do you have a different view on that, or would you...
I wouldn't say I have a different view. I mean, it's very difficult coming third with a question like that when we're all in agreement, so I'm not going to cause sort of contention. But I think it is also important to sort of bring in, yes, it is automation, yes, it is about data, yes, it is about insights, but it's also about harnessing the RTB protocol. And obviously, there's been a lot of work that's been taking place. Tim over there has been with me on the IAB working group, sort of helping to help sort of define those sort of values, etc., that goes into the RTB protocol. Obviously, Barry over the DPAA has been very sort of instrumental in that. So I think we also need to be cognizant of the fact that programmatic, in my mind, is automated execution harnessing the RTB protocol.
Yep. So the RTB, a real core element of that answer. Got it. And Gordon, you talked about helping media owners with the benefits that might come by connecting into this world of open RTB and programmatic. When you look at the media owners that you deal with or you would like to deal with, what's your view of them? How well do you think they are embracing this opportunity?
In my experience has been good. Speaking with a lot of the media owners, not just here in the UK, but I mean, we're Europe-wide, so speaking to media owners in the Nordics, in Germany, and there is a real enthusiasm to embrace the potential of what they're... I mean, this is a lot of their inventory has existed for a long time. You know, there are screens that are being put up regularly, new screens, but you've got to bear in mind that the existing inventory has existed for a long time. That existing inventory has been bought either in the classical form or using other automated methods pre-RTB, and that's worked out really well for them so far. But ultimately, seeing that opportunity, the potential of the non-guaranteed nature of programmatic inventory, being able to overlay that data, and also at the same time working with data sources. I mean, there's a ton of data available now. So we're looking at not just triggers. Everyone's talking about weather triggers. There's so you can brainstorm this sort of thing for hours. But seeing all that new data come in, seeing different ways to find your audiences, and also different ways to learn from your audiences, learn about the movement of the audiences, learn about their behaviors, their purchasing behaviors, their movement behaviors. I think, again, it just benefits those media owners so much more. It really raises the value of their inventory, of what they've already been selling for decades now. And that just creates more opportunities for them when it comes to speaking with the advertisers and selling to the brands.
And Alice, do you recognise that in your world and seeing how perhaps easy it is to connect to media owners who you want to purchase from?
I mean, yes, definitely. And again, I agree with everything that Gordon's just said. I mean, the opportunity for the media owners is huge because at the end of the day, it's about yield, isn't it? The greater yield that they can get from those screens, the better it is. It also offers an opportunity for advertisers who previously haven't been able to access digital out of home because they haven't had those marketing budgets that they've been willing to actually test the channel out with. So being able to sort of have the ability to have much smaller budgets, test and learn, stop and start, use all the efficiencies of programmatics, I think has actually expanded the sort of breadth of advertisers that are coming in. And certainly from the SSP side, what we are finding is that, I mean, obviously traditionally there is probably about 8 or 9 different sort of global SSPs that exist that are very much sort of digital out of home first. They've been there for a very long time. You've got some here as the sponsors, you know, Hivestack yourself from DAX Global, but we are also now starting to see other omnichannel SSPs start to take a look at out of home as potentially one of those channels. And what I would say with that is that as sort of infrastructure and technology is advancing, standards are coming into place, it's actually being made a lot easier for media owners to be onboarded. So certainly from a Yahoo perspective, in Singapore, in Taiwan, in the US, in Canada, and we're just starting conversations in the UK right now, we are starting to look to bring media owners on board in those sort of location-aware places. So we were talking before the panel about sort of commerce opportunities, putting them into sort of commerce places, putting them into locations that potentially, unlike what you were saying, Gordon, screens have not actually existed before. So actually looking at it more from a sort of an advertiser opportunity perspective.
Guaranteed and non-guaranteed deals, and in terms of how inventory booking works in general. So definitely.
Yep. And I mean, Gordon, I mean, this is a programmatic panel. We don't want to get too technical, but we can dive a little bit into that. When you're connecting and you have an experience of how you manage programmatic trading from a non-out-of-home perspective, let's say a mobile perspective or other, when you're trying to make that connection to an out-of-home media owner, how different is it? I mean, I'm thinking about things like the impression multiplier, which has been something, I guess, which has evolved, and the many different types of creative treatments that we have because we have so many screens in different environments. Do they provide real hurdles? I mean, how much of a difficulty has that been?
What you're describing there is a challenge we found more on the buy side. with traditional programmatic buyers used to channels, digital channels, display channels, mobile channels. And now when you're introducing concepts like an impression multiplier, for example, we're now dealing with a broadcast media where they're used to dealing with a one-to-one relationship. You know, you buy an online impression, that's one person seeing that. Out of home is very different. Now, there's multiple people seeing that, that play out, and you have to have a better understanding of audiences and the movement of audiences. And this is something which the buyers are slowly getting to grips with. And an encouraging thing that I'm seeing is that the agencies are now really trying to tackle this. And it means for them joining up maybe their specialists with their digital teams, with their client teams, and really understand the omni-channel potential here. Looking at it from a Splicky perspective, I mean, we have a big history in mobile, and the best examples I can provide are where we have brought mobile and out of home together. I think they fit very well as a medium, and a lot of the technology, a lot of the data which drives what we can do now in out of home does originate from mobile. So, yeah, so to answer your question, I think really it is still a challenge for the buyers, but we're getting there. I think we're getting there, and as Alice just mentioned, it might be this year of out of home. Fingers crossed. Maybe.
Progress in the right sort of direction. I mean, Alice, we saw some charts in the previous session which indicated some quite good news for omnichannel sort of thinking. People are a bit more prepared to look across a number of areas. From a customer perspective, a client perspective, how important do you think it is that they have the opportunity to purchase a range of media through a single DSP, if you like, a single point? Is that valuable, or could they just have a variety to achieve each of their jobs independently?
Obviously, I'm biased, so definitely biased. I think it's incredibly important. It all comes down to efficiencies. It comes down to efficiencies of planning, efficiencies of reporting, efficiencies of measurement, being able to port data from one channel across into another channel. Obviously, you know, we're all trying to do an awful lot with not necessarily an awful lot of people. So with every single sort of additional platform that you bring in added layers of complexity. So certainly the sort of path that we're seeing agencies and clients are going down is that as those, to what sort of Gordon was saying, as those specialist teams are starting to work a lot closer with the digital teams, what they're actually wanting to then do is also consolidate the number of platforms that they're starting to touch. I mean, obviously, they're still wanting to have everything from what they get from a specialist platform. So they're wanting to have all of the supply available. They want to have all the, you know, amazing reporting and the amazing insights that a specialist DSP would be able to provide. But the added benefit of sort of focusing on it from an omni-channel perspective, as I kind of sort of alluded to at the beginning, is that efficiency across planning, buying, targeting, reporting, measurements, etc. And then the other piece is, as I mentioned at the beginning, is being able to tap into those insights that you can actually see from other channels and actually be able to sort of follow the user as they go through their journey. So once somebody's been exposed to out of home, re-finding them in native, re-finding them online, potentially even sort of re-finding them in connected TV. So really sort of focusing their sort of brand messaging across the whole journey. And I think the other thing is that over the course of the last sort of 2 years, the ability to be able to measure digital out of home in, dare I say, a traditional digital manner has actually, we're starting to see standards come in. We really are. The first was the impression multiplier. That was the basic. That was just the pure buying mechanism. How can we turn it from a one-to-many buying channel to a one-to-one buying channel? We're now starting to see the QR codes come back. So actually being able to see the whole sort of engagement model come into play. And then equally with sort of exposure, we're now actually able to sort of draw it across into mobile, as Gordon was mentioning, or across into online, then actually see, did they actually go and do something? So I definitely think they're moving towards wanting to have that omni-channel, both for efficiency purposes, but also because there are so many things that are harnessed in the other channels that can be brought across into out of home.
And I guess, Tara, does that create a challenge for a DSP that's a bit more channel focused to out of home, or do you have a benefit as opposed to being purely focused on that particular opportunity?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, on the contrary, the work that we provide as a digital out-of-home DSP specifically, especially with agencies or clients that are more used to booking perhaps online or on TV or radio, is that we provide such a specialized, streamlined process that they're able to use for digital out-of-home that you can apply to other mediums or channels that they're running for other campaigns as well. Studies show, one study by Nielsen showed that digital out-of-home was actually one of the top medium that drove online activation. So when you have a specialized team of digital out-of-home strategists that allow you to choose the locations, that choose the best locations for the client at the best venue types that are possibly needed, at the exact and to target the exact audiences that they want for their campaigns over a span of a few months or over the span of a few weeks. There's definitely added benefit in that as well. And like Alice mentioned before, a lot of our clients right now are using top measurement tools in their out-of-home creatives as well. So we're really able to see the exact engagement and impact that their out-of-home creatives are running. So with the use of QR codes, for example, we also have audience curation data available on our platform as well that really allow for that targeting to occur. And in addition to that, we also provide real-time campaign reporting metrics. So you're able to compare how you're doing in terms of impression and lead generation and conversions for your digital out-of-home campaigns, and then apply that to other multi-channel approaches that you're taking as well. So in short, just the fact that we are a very specific focused digital out-of-home platform with a highly specialized team that really understands the industry, and it's growing at quite an amazing rate. I think in Europe we're seeing somewhere between a 12 to 14% compound annual growth rate in digital out-of-home alone. It's quite an important medium that you can apply on its own or in a larger sphere of another or of your omni-channel strategy, definitely.
Yeah. So this attribution is an important area, really, because I guess traditionally online, you would have had a cause and effect. Something happened and you triggered more purchases or what have you. Outdoor being an offline medium, that's a little bit more difficult. So you talk about QR codes and other methods of changing that. I guess we have to, this is part of the learning. How do we adapt? How do we work out what is the effect that is happening as a result of the advertising which is being taken place? And that's a slightly new view. Alice, you
I suppose what I was thinking just then is that everything that you were just saying actually backs up why omni-channel actually is a better approach. Just simply for the fact that everything that you were just describing, Tara, for the most part, Yahoo has as well. We have those specialisms, we have all that capability that's built into the platform, but also what we allow our customers to do is to activate those other channels alongside and actually have those channels directly impact each other. So being able to have access real time to what's happening in the online ecosystem, what sort of conversions are taking place, what from those conversions can actually be related back to out-of-home and then make modifications to the out-of-home strategy. So actually do it in that full sort of 360 view. So I suppose what I'm sort of coming back to again is that I think as the knowledge gap starts to narrow, and don't get me wrong, I don't think that knowledge gap is still there. It's definitely not this small. It's still, it's still quite substantial. But as we sort of move over the course of the next couple of years and that knowledge gap really starts to shrink and technology and all of the standards start to get sort of thrown out, I think what's going to happen is out-of-home is going to go the way that mobile did. My background was mobile. I was in mobile 15 years ago and the same thing happened. We started off as a specialist and then slowly mobile became one of wasn't even considered as completely separate channel. It was just part of the broad, the sort of the overall ecosystem. And I think eventually the same thing's going to happen for out-of-home.
So from a media owner perspective, they might see this opportunity and they think, okay, how do I get involved? There's some technical challenges, but those can be, that's the learning curve that has to be overcome. And then they say, yeah, absolutely, I'm committed to this, and I think this is the right way to go. Should they sit on one SSP, or should their inventory, should they play the market in a certain sense and say, okay, well, I'll put my inventory on many SSPs in the hope that it's going to be bought more, but then you guys are DSPs and you're going to talk to all the SSPs anyway. So how is that going to play out? Gordon, do you have a sort of thought on that?
From a media owner standpoint, I think as many SSPs, the better, because you have a product and it benefits to have that product seen in as many shop fronts as possible. From a DSP standpoint, I mean, we've got 3 DSPs here, but there are a lot more, and there are differences between each DSP with regards to which SSPs they're integrated with. We'd like to integrate with all of them. Sometimes that's not possible for various reasons. There could be delays with regards to existing roadmaps, depending on the size of the business as well. These things don't happen overnight. And also with regards to the type of integration that you have. So you may have an integration with specific SSP, but there may be agreements with regards to what they consider premium inventory. So integrating, what I'm trying to say is the integrations, even though you're integrating with the same SSPs, different DSPs might not necessarily offer the same inventory in the same way. And also you have to bear in mind when choosing a DSP, the specific capabilities of that DSP with regards to what data do they access, what data can they ingest, how flexible are they when it comes to not just managing your campaigns, but also optimizing as well. There's different levels of, I think we're still in this early space where you've got some new DSPs coming to the market. We've got the existing omnichannels which have been existing as DSPs for a very long time, longer than some of us have. They may not necessarily be the best solution if all you want to run is an out-of-home campaign. There are differences in how inventory is filtered, how the inventory is presented. There's differences in how the reporting is presented, how the insights are presented, how the optimization is done, and also attribution as well. How is that done? Is it a simple QR code? Are we looking at footfall? So there's a huge variety in capabilities. So yes, it's important to be seen in as many SSPs as possible, but one thing to bear in mind as well is what are those SSPs, what are their relationships with the DSPs before making those decisions if you can't be with all of them, which is in most cases the case.
Yep. And Alice, I guess to your point about mobile and being on a journey and things changing, do you see from your experience of that a reflection of how this might pan out?
Definitely. I think it's a fascinating question. It's one that I'm really interested to see how things do pan out over the next few years, because you have got media owners today taking slightly different journeys. You've got JC.co that have formed their own marketplace and exchange, and they've kept their inventory very much there. But then you've got other media owners, like Gordon has explained, have actually sort of gone out across multiple SSPs. I also think what's going to be interesting, though, is the evolution of open exchange. Right now, the number of SSPs and DSPs that are able to do open exchange buying across programmatic digital out-of-home is incredibly small. So certainly as that starts to evolve and you've got more and more SSPs and DSPs that are able to do that, I think we are then going to see media owners wanting to be on more and more SSPs, because then it's less about the, dare I say, the PMP buy. It's then more about being able to really sort of drive yield from all of the impressions that are available. So yeah, it's a fascinating question though.
Yeah. And media owners, as they make those decisions and move in this direction, they have a legacy which they in a way have to protect, which is the value that they were getting for their inventory. And they're now trading it in a slightly different way, which is an impacts and a cost per thousand. And there are, I guess, a couple of influences there. One, you've got to attribute an audience to get a cost per thousand, and the way in which that happens is different in different markets. The US will have a different approach to ascribing an audience to a frame than the UK will. And you've also got the difference between small frames, which traditionally were sold for less, and a much larger frame, which might be sold for a lot more, although the audience may be similar, but our expectations of the value of a bigger impact are different. So when clients are looking through a DSP and making a programmatic decision, and the cost is a part of that, do they understand, or what level of help can you give them to help them navigate that cost problem?
Yeah, of course, definitely. So from what we've seen with our advertisers so far is what we usually do with them, especially where they're booking digital out of home for the first time, we walk them through the entire open exchange process if we want to set up a PMP deal for them, etc. So the Neuron currently offers over 460,000 screens worldwide. We're integrated with 6 different SSPs. And so when we see different cost per thousands listed in different venue types or environments, advertisers are really able to see why we have different prices for them. So if you compare, for example, retail environments, place-based, malls, let's say, malls have a little bit of a higher CPM, and the reason for that is because the average dwell time is quite high there. Visitation periods are up to 3 hours long on weekends, and in peak times, a lot of advertisers will compete for the same ad spots. And so if you compare, for example, more place-based media compared to maybe an urban panel outside on the street, they're going to have a few minor differences, but from what we've seen thus far, advertisers are able to differentiate between why we have different costs per thousand there, and the different benefits of such as well. So if a family is driving in a car on a highway and they're able to see a really large outdoor billboard, they understand the benefit of that. So when they commute versus when they're in more entertainment or leisure venues, they're able to see why certain ads run there compared to others. So as a result of that, we definitely see, or advertisers in general, see the difference and understand why we have a difference between different CPM rates across the board.
Yeah. And do you see that, Alice, in terms of different markets? I mean, if you just looked at a 6-sheet in the American market and the UK market, you might find quite a different CPT based on the research rather than necessarily the fact that it was reaching different people.
So I think, well, that's the beauty of programmatic, isn't it? You're not actually necessarily selling it for a set price. It's all about what price does the market actually determine its worth. So I think that's the first thing probably to point out. I mean, obviously, everybody wants Piccadilly Circus for nothing. Everybody wants to have Times Square. And, you know, oh, I've got a 10K marketing budget. Can I have Times Square? It's like, well, come on, be realistic there. Yeah. So, but I think fundamentally what we need to come back down to is what is the goal the advertiser is trying to reach? Are they going for that big blast brand awareness, wanting to be in a very visible, very public space? Or actually, are they actually going after the lower funnel? And yes, digital out of home can do lower funnel for those people that don't believe it can actually do lower funnel, because it can. If they're going for the lower funnel, then it's more about ensuring that the screens that you're focusing on are actually indexed towards your audience. It's as Tara was saying, that it's focused on the screens that is actually location and destination aware, specific to what it is that you're trying to push. So I would arguably say it's less about the CPM. It's more about understanding that in the programmatic environment, those CPM rates are dynamic, and it's about understanding what it is that you want to achieve. And dare I say, for those teams that are used to just booking digital out of home, that is something that's new. That is a knowledge curve, that it's no longer about actually what is the flat CPM rate and having to book in a guaranteed manner.
So if we've established, I guess, part of the way through this conversation, that you all think there's definitely a market there that's going to grow, it's going to change, it's going to evolve. You're all invested in time and energy to make that happen. You see the media owners walking in that direction as well and connecting. And we are helping advertisers to understand what the opportunity is and the value of it. I guess that comes to the point of when we're looking at that, have you got some examples of an advertiser who has done this really well, who has really benefited, who, if they had gone another way, would maybe not have spent their money as effectively? Tara, have you got?
Yes, definitely. So one of the most, I feel like, resounding campaigns for the use of AdTECH and programmatic digital out of home in general was we had one of the largest gym retailers in the world come to us. They're our client through an agency, and they wanted to run a campaign in under 24 hours, so deployment time was quite little. And they had over 13 different markets and 56 different POIs, or points of interest, and a plethora of different creatives that they wanted to use in terms of location for offers subscriptions, packages, and so through the Neuron, what we were able to do was we used a lot of our state-of-the-art tools, like our geofencing tool. They wanted to see all of the different types of venue types and locations within 56 different locations across, for example, this campaign ran in Florida. So we were able to use our geofencing tool. We were able to filter out by venue type to reach the exact audiences that we needed. So we used, for example, points of care. We wanted to really speak to audiences that were looking to become more health focused. We chose on the weekends a lot of premium retail inventory in malls, especially outdoor inventory as well, with premium publishers like Outfront, like Clear Channel. And we were able to set up deals in record time. We were able to target in record time and deploy creative in record time. So that's, I think, the pinnacle of the importance of programmatic digital out of home, and of course the timings that you want to run your campaign for. We also day parted as needed, and in real time we were updating creatives as we went, and so we run those campaigns every day. We run them every single month since the beginning of 2022. And what we saw within the first 90 days only was a 21% increase in leads, a 25% increase in conversions, and a 2% increase in our conversion rates within less than 90 days. And so I think this really speaks to the attractiveness of digital out of home, of programmatic digital out of home in general.
Great stats. I mean, which client wouldn't want some stats like that for their investment? Really great. Golden, have you got an example you could share with us?
We actually won an award a couple of weeks ago for, it was a drum award for a campaign we ran for Burger King. I think this was a really good example of our ability to optimize results in real time. So one thing that's been quite difficult to do traditionally is measure footfall. And that's something which programmatic digital out of home has brought. So it's now very easy to see who's been exposed to your campaign and then see if that audience ends up where you want them to end up. The next step is being able to optimize that in real time. So looking at the campaign on a per screen basis and seeing those results. I mean, this is all using mobile data. Well, initially you need to find the audience. So picking those screens which fit the audience that they're looking for. And then once that campaign has gone live, once you've set your baseline, the campaign has gone live, seeing which screens are working better. And that gives you a situation that a lot of digital buyers are quite used to, where you're optimizing campaigns, you're moving budgets, you're cutting screens, locations, and adding screens and locations throughout the campaign in order to deliver better results, rather than waiting for the end of the campaign and saying, look, we delivered a 20% uplift. We can do so much more now. So, so I think this is a really big thing. That, I think it makes a huge difference. This is a big difference that programmatic out of home can provide, and that's basically down to the flexibility that you have, as opposed to the traditional way of buying a 2-week slot, and then that's it. You know, you can turn your campaigns on and off. You can move your budgets whenever to deliver some good results.
So, Alice, if that, there's some great examples there. Someone's got to execute those and make a decision. In the agency side, do you think it's clear who owns that decision on whether we purchase programmatically and then who executes it, or?
Do you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
No. No. I mean, obviously, it's not the same in every single agency. Obviously, every single agency is a different business. I would say definitely the independent agencies. They are fast. They've been fast, more sort of transformational in actually sort of bringing digital out of home into the sort of wider channel mix. When you sort of come across to the sort of like the big holdcos, obviously they're a lot bigger. They move a lot slower. So in that instance, the majority of them are already aligned with one sort of specialist, be it external companies such as Talon, or be it sort of internal, like Kinetic with Group M. But I think what has happened over the course of the last sort of year and a half, and dare I say, actually, the pandemic has actually accelerated this. They've actually been forced to actually work together a lot more. They've been forced to actually start doing that knowledge sharing. And we are starting to see sort of alignments taking place as to who you should actually go and speak to when it comes to out of Home. But I would say it's still a little bit of shaky ground there. It's not completely finalised.
Yeah, something which is, so there's technology to work through, but there's also process and ownership to work through, and that is perhaps part of the journey as well that everyone is on. I guess one of the things that we look at from an outdoor perspective is we see all those changes happening in personalised restrictions in personalised data in the sort of online world, and that we look at that and we say, does that create an opportunity? Does the fact that it's getting more difficult to do what people were used to doing and spending a lot of money on make an opportunity for them to rethink that in the agency world and say, actually, maybe there's another way of deploying our budgets more effectively, and out of home might be a winner as a result of those external changes.
Are you saying there's a positive from Google depreciating third-party cookies?
I'm just probing whether there might be. You never know. Gordon, you got a view on that?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, deprecating the cookies does make it harder for these digital buyers to find their audiences, because there's going to be a lot less data. So the alternative, and it looks like a lot of the agencies, buyers that I've been speaking to, is context. Context is king. I think everyone's heard that phrase. Context exists already in the online world, but in the out-of-home world, I think that's so much more powerful. So looking at specific locations, so specific venues, if you know what the venue is, I mean, we can use this venue as a really good example, the Samsung building. What sort of audience would you find here? And if we have screens nearby, just knowing what the location is tells us a lot about the people that are going by. And this is a very strong alternative to, and a very strong response to a lot of the restrictions that we're already seeing taking place. It's not just cookies, it's mobile device IDs. And I think this is a real opportunity for us. I think it's an opportunity which we need to talk about a lot more. I'm probably not talking about it enough, but yeah, it's there for us to grab if you
there for us to grab.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, look, we've had a fascinating discussion. I'm going to wrap up with one sort of last question for you all, really, just to give us a sense of something to hang on to and see where that takes us. We've talked about this journey. And so this is the bit where you think, do I really have to put a number on this because it's on camera and somebody might remember what I said? But that's predictions for you. What do you think the growth could be for out of home in the next, for programmatic out of home and this type of AdTech type trade in the next couple of years? Tara, you got a view on that?
Well, from what we've seen in recent published research is, like I mentioned before, at least a 12 to 14% compound annual growth rate for digital out-of-home alone. And when we previously saw a little bit of slow growth for programmatic, that was because we were still learning and testing. We were a little bit slow to deploy because you need to, so for programmatic in general, you want to submit a product to the market that's extremely scalable, so and can respond to events in real time. So I see that now, especially during the pandemic and post-pandemic, the acceleration of that as a whole is quite obvious. So if I had to put a number on it, I would say at least maybe in terms of yearly annual growth, at least 1 to 5% for Europe and globally probably.
Great. Gordon, are you going to go higher or lower?
We should have a sweepstake. Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, we've got to remember we're still at the start here. It's still, the numbers we're growing from are still quite small, so the potential is huge. And just from the conversations we've had and the conversations we're all having externally, I think we're all encouraged that there is a real desire to grow. So I'm going to be quite optimistic. I mean, in terms of growth, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking definitely double figures. This is recording, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. On last year, I think we're going to look at least definitely 50% at the very minimum on last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real actual growth. It's great.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm going to go with the figure that I actually had in my head rather than adjusting the figure because I'm last. So I think we're at the bottom of the hockey stick. I really think we're about to hit that journey. I think we're probably not going to get really into that acceleration probably till about 2024. There is still a lot of work to do around standardization. There is still a lot of work to do to make certain that all the screens are actually sort of, fully brought across and have those programmatic pipes in place. And whilst we are seeing that, at an accelerated rate in countries such as the US, UK, Australia, when you look at countries such as Brazil or potentially, Italy, they're not sort of accelerating at quite the same rate. So if we're looking at those markets where the acceleration on the sort of movement across to sort of programmatically enabling the screens, I think easily 40%, 40 or 45%, easily. But I do think there's a lot of barriers, and I think certainly from the last question, Mungo, the agencies actually figuring out who is actually involved, and also us as an industry, and obviously, sort of Barry with the DPAA is sort of leading the charge there, all of us sort of enhancing our knowledge as to how digital out of home should be activated. All of that's going to go towards helping that acceleration.
Well, look, some very encouraging numbers. It's been an absolute pleasure. Tara, Gordon, Alice, thank you so much on behalf of me, on behalf of our audience here, and for those who are watching online. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. You may go. Right. Thank you very much. Alice spoke about standards, which is good timing. Well done, Alice, because our next speaker is Tim Harvey, the founder of Knitting Media, and he's got the magic trick for you. One other just housekeeping item before we move everything around. This is from our good friend Hussein Koda from Jordan, and Tara from the Neuron. I know what's in it, but I won't tell you. It's a surprise. One for everybody. Please take it when you leave. Remember that your wristband will get you a nice cup of coffee or cup of tea or water from the thing. And when we do finish, which will be about 15, 20 minutes, if the trick works first time, 15, 20 minutes, otherwise it's several hours until he gets it to work. But feel free to stay at Samsung and try the Formula One game and all the other bits and pieces. So, no hurry, Tim.
All right.
15 minutes or so. You're on live camera. I'm going to exit this way. Do you need that?
Well, I'll keep it somewhere safe.
Oh, don't put it on that table, because that table's magic.
Thank you very much. So, thank you very much, Adrian Cotterill, the only man who can come to the Samsung Experience Centre dressed as Steve Jobs. But God bless you. God bless you, sir. There's competition alive and well. So, what am I talking about today? I'm talking about standards in out-of-home media. Not the most interesting to some people, aspects of out-of-home, but I think it's very important, and today I brought a few props along to try and show you why it is really important, and to me, quite exciting. So we're going to start with some terminology. Here's an object. It's a food tray, and it's got some compartments in it. You could say there's a compartment for each of the 5 major food groups. So you can put in your sausages, chips, beans, gravy, and a bit of cake. And that's great for the food providers because they can describe very clearly what they're selling and how to deliver it. And on the other side of the person who's looking for food can very easily see what they're buying, and they can receive it very easily. So containers and objects are something that you hear a lot of in the technical world, in the advertising technology world. And they're really no more complicated than that. You probably see these in terms of forms. You might see containers and objects in terms of Excel spreadsheets. Or there might be APIs, which really are no more complicated than 2 forms speaking together automatically. So what we're going to try and do in the context of out-of-home media, show a world without standards, with AdTECH, and then maybe with even more standards. So taking our little container as a media owner, let's try and describe a deal or a product. So using plastic fruit, just because it was handy in the house. We might have a deal or product described in terms of some inventory. The inventory might deliver a certain amount of audience. If it's digital, it might have a certain share of time on screen. There might be something about its distribution over the days, hours, or weeks. And finally, let's have something about the price. So in a world without standards, we can take this to market. And the problem is, we understand it, but then we come to the buyers, and they want to buy and understand things in slightly different ways. They've got sort of different containers, objects, spreadsheets, forms to fill in. Example here, they get it, but they want things in a bit more roundy style. This one's a bit similar to the way we describe things, but there's one less pocket or container. Now, everyone's got a client where you don't know what the hell this is, but it sort of works for him. I found this in the garden, but it sort of gets the point across. And finally, there's the client that's really, really close to the way we work, but they've just got a few little bobbles. But the upshot is, what we have to end up doing in a world without standards, there's a bit of hand maneuvering going on. We might have to build some rigid pipes that I couldn't carry in my bag today. But it's a little bit time-consuming, expensive, and just a bit in the difficult box. So let's reset this and then throw the next actor into the mix. So let's talk about third-party AdTech. And we're going to represent them with this lovely velvet bag. Only 3 things you've got to remember about this. It's lovely, it's velvet, and it's got golden tassels. Steady. So, how does this work? Well, this might be a DSP or an SSP, and they'll quite gladly take your inventory deals offers. Add it to their other makeup, their other supply, and quite happily plug into those lovely buyers and distribute very carefully the right products to the right people at the right time. Worry about that one. And in return for this lovely service, we'll take the money from the buyers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and pass this back to the media owners. 1, 2, 3, and 1 for me. So at this point, the media owners are, and really it comes back to the AdTech providers quite rightly saying, look, let me explain this to you in no uncertain terms. It's lovely, it's velvet, and it's got golden tassels. Always goes down well as an explanation. So let's move on to a little future with standards. So let's clear the decks. Just got to clear the decks a little bit. Let's reset some money. Where's the other one gone? There it is. Let's take our inventory back. There we go. Little bit of washing up here. And now let's introduce some standards to the market. So always great to see standards being adopted by the buy side. So here we go. Happy days. Happy days. Happy days. Happy days. It's not usually as dramatic as this. It's very, very a very serene transition. So we got the money. And now, as a media owner, we can have some confidence to set out some lovely deals. So let's set out our deals. There we go. Smooth as that. Let's do a few audience deals. We might do some deals in certain locations like malls, railway stations. Let's have some large format screens and a bit of revenue building ratings. Great. Okay, so the nice thing now with standards is, again, we've got that really nice model where the buyers can really understand what we're selling, making that very clear. And now when we're passing this across, it becomes seamless. They know what they can buy, they know how to buy, everything's matching in terms of the terminology standards, be it audience, pricing, inventory, and suddenly we have a lovely model with standards, with nothing in the middle, and everything flows naturally back to the media owners. More money for more media. So it's clearer, more transparent, and to be honest, quicker. So that's the utopia, and that's the vision of standards. And if I have could I have the clicker back? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And yesterday, we tried to move the conversation on from plastic trays and plastic fruit. And so with the help of Mungo, oh, interesting, right. So with the help of Mungo, not yesterday, we looked at inventory standards, how we get all this in place. And before, without standards, we had multiple files, multiple formats, and we had a situation where to describe a bit of inventory in terms of a frame or a location or a venue was very difficult. In the UK, which is quite unique to the industry, we introduced something called Space, where media owners could register their inventory with the Space organisation, with standards committee oversight from both the buy side and the sell side buy-in. And so we had one common reference for describing inventory, venues, and locations. Incredibly useful. So what I'm doing here is giving a very brief summary of the talks that were yesterday, and I invite you to download the video when it's released next week. The next talk we had, which again seems to have come out on the wrong background, but a little bit dark, but what this is about was standardized programmatic trading. I'm going to skip on from that. Let's go back to the nice slides. I'll describe it in words. Right. So the next standards we've worked on in the UK with Outsmart has been to do with open RTB and open direct bidding. So we've taken those difficult concepts where the real-world aspects of out-of-home media, be it the multipliers, be it the different types of venues, the physical aspects of the media, working with Outsmart, the AAA, the DPAA, and other organizations around the world, we've managed to create standards, and again, the links will be below this recording and sent out afterwards, in terms of finding common ways to describe those unique aspects, be it the inventory, be it the impression multipliers. And then finally, the last presentation we had on the day was with Anant East, and we were talking about the unique ways of reporting the performance back. And I think that slide did work on the deck. So again, it sounds a bit revolutionary, it sounds a bit simple, but just common ways of describing, did a paper poster get posted? How do we transfer that back? Common ways of describing, did a digital campaign happen? And again, there's lots of links in the presentation that take you through those common standards. And what I'm going to do, before I move on to closing remarks, is just recommend people, please engage with the links below the video when it comes out. Please engage with the presentation material sent out afterwards. But like I say, there's a bright future for the out-of-home media. I think it's based on standards, and let's work together to make it happen. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Okay, so thank you all. Thank you for everybody on the live stream. We're going to close the live stream off now, I think, hopefully. Then we can say some things off the record. I'm watching the man go to close off the live stream. Tim, you've left a terrible mess here. Who's going to clear this up?
Father Ted.
Right, but you've left the money.
Help yourself.
That's the magic trick. Thank you very much. Okay, we've finished for the day. If you've got any questions, feel free to stay